Okay, so welcome all. So happy Navratri to one and all. So let us ha- have an interactive session rather than I talk and you simply listen and you don't know what is happening. So as I told last week that I'll be showing or showcasing what and all projects or the research work that is being done, such that you might get some idea about how to go about and how to do the projects. Let me present the screen. So, if you have any questions, you can ask me then and there itself. So let us have an interactive session. So last week I talked about what is meant by machine learning and what and all the steps that are needed to do a machine learning project. Now let us go to a next level called deep neural network, that is called deep learning, where it is an hot topic as of now, where people are using deep learning because we have got lot of computational power, GPUs are there, and so many networks have been developed. So I'll be today I'll be focusing on image based classification, how to do the classification, and similarly the same steps can be followed either to a text based neural network, speech based neural network, or any of the deep learning neural networks. So, what is an image? So, if you look at a cat here, what we see is a cat. A cat is it is a normal cat image, but internally an image is represented in three channels called red, green, and blue. So what, like, it is a three channel image. So any photo you take, a photo is being made up of red, green, and blue. So if you load any image to a MATLAB uh, or in OpenCV, you can see the size of the image. It will give X, Y, and Z, and it will give the dimension. Means the dimension tells it is a channel of the image. So how many channel the image is. Okay. So the first step of a deep neural network is called convolution. So, what is meant by convolution? So, convolution is nothing but you have an image that is represented in a matrix form, and we have a kernel. Kernel is nothing but a Gaussian kernel, or any is a mathematical function, if you can say. So, this is a kernel. So, if you do element wise multiplication of a data, like this is this is a 3 cross 3 of an image, and this is a 3 cross 3 of a kernel. So if you do 2 into minus 4 is how much? Hello?
minus say
Mine 2 into minus 4, 2 into minus 2,
Minus 4.
minus 4
Minus 4.
1 into 0,
0
0.
6 into 1,
6
6.
2 into 1,
2
4 into 1.
4
4.
So 0 into 0. Like this, we do an element wise multiplication. So the resultant will be a multiplied matrix. Once we do summation of that entire number like minus 4 plus 0 plus 6, 2, 4, 0, 0, 0, minus 5, we get a we, we get a number. So what is meant by this summation? Do you know anyone what is meant by summation?
Sum.
Continuous
Some
addition.
what is continuous? Hello, we are anyone who hates mathematics will be hating this one horrible term. What is summation?
Integration.
Correct. So why I am telling you is I want to link mathematics to here. So no one told us when we did mathematics that integration is nothing but summation. I don't know when I learned engineering or and no one told me. They told integral of minus infinity to plus infinity, do some e power minus x, something we don't know what is it. It is nothing but the summation. So integration is nothing but the summation. So like this, what we do is we convolve across the image. So the kernel, this kernel will move to the next three rows, three columns, like this, and the next three rows, three columns. So finally what happens, so this is one of the kernel in if you use Sobel as an operator. So an image will be converted into a feature map using a convolution operation. So what is happening is only the relevant features. Like if you can see the for like only the vertical uh, like horizontal lines are there. There is no vertical lines. So you can see all these stripe marks uh, getting highlighted, and these palms texture is getting highlighted, and this is getting highlighted, the eyes are getting highlighted. So what is happening is we are getting the getting the information. You can even see the fur outer layer is cleanly identified, but these are all became zero, means not unwanted things are left out, only an object is being highlighted. So this convolution gives us the feature of any image. So what is this convolution operation? Takes spatial dependencies into account, uses a feature extraction tool, differentiable operation, the kernel can be learned. So in a traditional machine learning, we do input, feature extraction, feature, train, classifier, and output. But in deep learning, we take input, train the classifier, and output. The first step in deep learning is convolution operation. So once we do the convolution operation, the next step what we need to do is we need to do a nonlinear activation. What is this nonlinear activation? So any data, if you do an integration or the summation, it is a linear. So we need to have the data in a non-linear fashion. So to do this non-linear fashion can be done using an activation function, because our data is always non-linear. So increment then it what it does is it increments the network capacity. Like convolution and matrix multiplication and summation is linear. So how to do from a linear to non-linear using different activation functions like sigmoidal, hyperbolic, tangent, and ReLU. Most of the people in deep neural network use a function called ReLU means linear, linear. What is it? No, linear unit. I have forgot L form. So what it does is any any data which is less than 0 will be set as 0, and any data which is greater than 0 is set as 1. So our cat image, what happened is all the background became black, only the cat important information is highlighted. So this is meant by feature extraction. We are getting the features from the data. So our algorithm is able to learn about how to extract the feature from the data using the convolution, and the next step is the activation function. Once we do this activation function, the next step of a deep neural network is pooling. What is meant by pooling? Like, if instead of having a huge image all the time, we can reduce the size of the image, because what happens is by reducing the size of the image, we are not losing any data, but instead our computational power increases. So to do this, what is the next step is called pooling. So what does this pooling does? Pooling uses a reduced dimensionality. The most common pooling is called max pooling, makes a network invariant to small transformations and distortion and translations. So if any small transformation like rotation, scale, and skew, or any distortion is there to an image or anything, by using this pooling, we can handle it. Like, what is meant by pooling? Like, if you have a 3 cross, like a 4 cross 4 data, we'll take 2 cross 2 metric, and only the topmost or like highest value will be taken into consideration for the pooling. So what happens is, this this is called as integral image. If you ask me in a high dimensional terms, so we are only taking the top important features of the data. So finally, if you put everything together, in the deep neural network, what is the different steps that needs to be followed is, we have this input followed by convolution layer, non-linear function, that is activation layer, then pooling layer. So this entire three forms one level of neural network. Similarly, we again follow this with the convolution, neural net, and pool. So this is a second level. Then this is third level. Finally, what happens is the image would have become very small. So now we can make it into a vector. So vectorization is nothing but flattening. So instead of doing the operation in a two dimension, we will be making it into a single dimension, which can be easily solvable. So this flattened feature is called as fully connected layer. So this fully connected layer, we can even reduce it to what how much dimension we want. So this is the output layer. So these are the different steps that we need to follow while writing a deep neural network algorithm. So if you take a text data, instead of convolution, we use dense layer, and we need this non-linearity. Then pooling is also required. So ReLU is required. Then pooling is also required. So these are the important steps that need to be followed, or a pipeline for a deep neural network. So any questions? Hello?
What is the dimension of this tensor?
Dimension of,
Like these are represented in tensors, right? So in
okay.
image, what in what dimension for image,
See,
what
it
dimension it is?
like it like example, if you take VGG16, so VGG16 uh, network takes an input of 224 to 224. So, and it finally, my final output layer is 512. So what will happen is, so you will come to know all these problems once you start working. So you have an image. Let me consider 1 HD. So what is 1 HD for you? Do you remember the dimension of 1 HD? So one HD, like if you take a photo from your mobile camera, the minimum resolution will be 1980 into 1024. So that will be the size of the image. So imagine the network takes 224 by 224. So what will happen is a huge image will be compressed to a very small dimension, very small dimension. What will happen, what do you know what will happen if you reduce a huge data to a very small data?
We'll get the main features of it.
No, we'll not be getting the main features, we'll be losing the features because we are resizing it, right? Hello.
So
Yes, sir.
So yeah, these are all the drawbacks. Like what the problems of these networks is, they take a fixed dimensional input. So if you have a huge image, and example, if you have huge image and in this huge image there is a ball, like there is a tennis ball. So and you want to track this tennis ball in this huge image. So this image size might be like a 10 cross 10. So this is 10 cross 10. So what will happen if you reduce 190 to 224? How much dimension would have we have reduced?
Nearly 1/10.
So we have almost 1/10, right? So what would have happened to this ball? It would have become 1 pixel into 1 pixel, right?
Yes, sir.
So 1 pixel into 1 pixel. What is a pixel? If I click on this and zoom this area, like any if anything, so this small one box you are seeing, right? So that is called a pixel. Understood? So this small box, sorry, I can't draw it. This small box, are you able to see? I'm pointing on this. Can you see this?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
This red one, that is called 1 pixel. So these are all the drawbacks. Yeah, I don't want to talk about the drawbacks now itself. So yeah, but all the most of the network takes this standard input as an input, so standard dimension for an input, and then they start reducing, extracting the features and reducing the, finally what happens is whatever is the information in this 224 will be reduce it to fight well. So what has happened? So we are, like, if you can open the calculator, so 224 into, sorry, 224 into 224 is 50,000, 176. 50,176 data we have reduced to fight well, means only fight well important information of a particular image or anything is being taken for the classification. So final feature, the length will be fight well. Understood? And you're talking about tensors. Tensor is nothing but a terminology used for by TensorFlow to hold the data. So if you don't use TensorFlow, tensor word is not being will not be applicable. Like, okay, now even PyTorch also uses a tensor as a word, so it has become like a normal word where we represent a metric of data or anything to process is known as a tensor. So any questions?
No,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So now what has happened is this neural network has surpassed the human performance. Means if you train any model, what human can recognize, it is able to classify or do the detection or anything much more sophisticated with less error compared to humans. So only it is becoming so popular where it is becoming reliable. So the latest is in 2015 when they released this ImageNet classifier with a deep learning neural network by Jeffrey Hilton. So he the error was very minimal compared to the previous things. So only we are able, yeah, so many people, so many works are being using this deep neural network. What and all we can do with this deep neural network? Now you have Alexa, where text, like speech to text conversion is happening. Then you have a normal image, you can do some augmentation by called as photosynthesis or art, by making it into a different art type, like synthetic image. From then you enter into Germany, France, or anything you don't know what is a language, you use this image translation. So all these stuffs these neural networks can do. So why deep learning will stay for a long? Why? Because we have got huge amount of data. We have got so many architectures that is being designed. We have got good frameworks, that is TensorFlow, Keras, Torch as a programming language. We have got powerful processing like Amazon Web Services is there, Google Cloud is there, NVIDIA Cloud is there, and it is being mainly supported by big players like Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Baidu, and DeepMind. So the deep learning will stay for a long time because we have these powerful programming libraries, that is in Python, where we can use this to learn or whatever we want to do. Ultimately, what and all the applications that in deep neural networks we can do? If you consider deep neural network to improve traditional algorithms, so like in finance, if you consider finance, if you, anyone wants to do a project in finance, they can take this one, like you can think about these lines: enhancing the fraud detection through identification of more complex patterns. Like nowadays, forensic frauds are increasing. People are cheating. Like they will say, they might send you a Google Pay link and ask to pay, but it will be not genuine. So you can think about how can we identify the fraud in these. Next is manufacturing, like enhance identification of defects based on deeper anomaly detections. Means what is happening is, in a conveyor belt, the in a supply chain, the products are getting moved. So what happens is some, like it is, everything is automated. Like some products might be leaky, some products might not have proper amount of like liquid or anything that is being poured. So can you identify the defects? Or somewhere it might be uh, there will be defect in soldering, or it would have not been properly assembled. So can you do all this for the manufacturing? So if you consider the convolution neural networks for images in retail, in the retail, like in-store activity analysis of video to measure the traffic. Like what is this means? Like it will help the storekeeper to identify what and all the people are buying, which is the hot product that is getting sold. How, like where is the people that, okay, if you enter into a mobile store, you might go and see Apple iPhones. Some people might go and see television. Some people might go and see fridge or anything. So based on the traffic movement, the storekeeper can keep, like improve his store capacity by, and also improve the sales by identifying the human traffic movement. Next is, if you are interested in satellite image, you can do labeling terrain and classifying the objects. Like yesterday in Bangalore, it flooded like anything in few areas. Yeah, if you can get the satellite images, and you can tell, okay, these are the probable flood regions. So given give a alert map to the government telling that these are the encroachments. Or if you can even do another future super work is how the urbanization has happened from past history, like how the deforestation has happened. Then if you can see how the vegetation has decreased or increased. So all these you can do with satellite images. Then if you are interested in automotive, then autonomous vehicle navigation by recognizing the roadways and obstacles is one of the good work you can work on, where you can get the data, and or you can also collect the data by traveling around your streets and everything. Do like pothole detection, then like water puddle detection. Then so many use cases are there if you see about Indian roads. So you can work on all this, like mainly identifying the obstacles and the roadways for the safe navigation. And if you are interested in healthcare, yeah, you can think about diagnosing opportunities using CT and MRI. Nowadays, the people are working on COVID CT data, and MRI brain data is available everywhere. Then cardiac data is available. So open source. So you can use these deep learning algorithms to identify, okay, how much is the tumor volume, how much is the um, what is the defect of the lungs, and if example, if you are a chronic smoker, or if you are a smoker, you might be a drinker, so you can get the liver data and tell how much damage of the liver will happen if you drink. And if you are an obese, and if you don't work out, or if you don't run, walk, or anything, how your fat deposition can lead to type 2 diabetes, or even cardiac. So why so many people, young people, are dying in India because of COVID is because they are not active, they are having high lipid, means high fat, they are stressed, and they are the main thing is they have got either blood pressure or diabetes at very young age, by 25 or 20 or within 30. So only so many people are dying because of these aspects. So insurance, if you are interested, you can photographic claims, nowadays tele insurancing has come, where you click the photo of a damaged car or any vehicle, and you upload it, and you can design a software to identify which are the damaged parts of a car or anything, and then tell, okay, these are the different places the damage has happened, and this is the insurance can be given for this. So next is, if you want to work on continuous data, it's called recurrent neural network. If you have customer satisfaction, means transcription of voice data to text using natural language processing analysis, where whatever customer will be talking, you can record it and convert into text and do, okay, what he is telling, whether, okay, with the big billion sale, whether the customer is satisfied or not, or whether he is angry with some product, or how is the positive feed, negative feed. It is called a sentimental analysis. Then social media, like real time translation of social and product form posts. Like what happens if you see at Twitter, each hour the trends changes. Like from yesterday, you can see Arnav Goswami trend is there about Republic TV. So you can do how many people are towards Arnav Goswami, how many people are against Arnav Goswami. Like it all depends on the social media trend analysis. Then photo captioning, like everywhere you go, you take selfies. Whatever you, if you eat a cake or anything, a selfie will be taken. So why can you have a search archive for images what you have incited? Like example, you create a small caption based search engine where you group all your college class photos together, create your own image search engines. So all these you can do. And finally, you can, if you want to do in the finance, do a predictive behavior of real time analysis. Like predictive behavior means stock market predictions, take the historical data and tell, like in the next hour or anything, whether it will be a bull or a bear. Or a bull or a bear means, bull means you, the stock will increase, bear means the stock will decrease. So if it increases, more money, decreases means it is loss. So you can identify all this. You can also, this is only limited what I have written. So any questions? Hello? Hello? Hello, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay then. So let me go to some of the projects that I have done, so that you it might give some insight how to go about it. So the first the, this is this Prajwal and 1 minute, what happened? So this Prajwal and Prithvi Bhatt, they were uh, eight seven eight semester students last year from RV Engineering Electrical Department. So they got a problem statement to detect fish and track fish in pisciculture environment. What is this pisciculture environment? I also didn't knew beforehand what is this pisciculture. So then the problem statement is was really challenging. They needed to detect fish and track fish in inland fisheries. So this inland fisheries is a huge business where in farms and all, people will put a tarpaul and they grow fish in the farms. So the farmers will get money from fishes, as well as they will get small fishes from the nursery, and they grow them, and the fishes will become huge. They will become very big, and they will sell those fishes. And this is a huge business in Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Orissa, and huge market for technology to help these people. So this research is to detect and track fishes in the pisciculture environment. And this pisciculture is generally involves challenging tasks like counting, monitoring fishes in the natural and natural like human habitat. So this pisciculture is generally involves challenging tasks like counting and counting. So this National Fishery Development Board estimates that 12.60 million metric tons of fish is produced every year, nearing nearly 65% accounts to the inland sector. What means whatever fish you eat, some people are fish lovers, they are mainly the inland fisheries, not the sea fish or anything. But what is happening as of now is it is now being done using a conventional intensive approach, and making it into a big scale is really tough. Especially in Singapore, this inland fisheries, especially this aquaponics or anything, became a news channel topic few months back, like before COVID. And they really want to develop fishes because they feel inland fisheries is the next trend of fisheries. So we we it was a very challenging task for us once I got this problem statement, because the fishes are not a like if you take an image of a fish from top, it is irregular shape. So if you see a fish when it moves, the head, like if you consider this is a head and this is a tail of a fish, so this is a head and tail of a fish. It will be moving in a zigzag manner. So it will be an irregular shape. So if you use any of the normal machine learning algorithm, it doesn't work because it is an irregular shape. And how to solve this, and that too, to get in the real world solution was a real challenge. So how what was done is we came up with our own pipeline. Like we used existing mask RCNN. So this is a semantic instant segmentation algorithm called mask RCNN, so which uses an ResNet 101 as a backbone. I don't want to talk about all this. What this ResNet, what it does, this mask CNN, what it does is it it detects the fish and also get we will get the mask of the fish. Mask of the fish means you can get where the fish is and even the entire fish length. We can get to know about the fish. Then we need to track the fish. So tracking is also one of the big problems because the fish will move from one region to another region. So what we did is we took the current image and we used deep learning based tracker called GoTerm, and we did the tracking of the fish in the real environment. I will show some videos about it. So if you get any problem statement like this, the first step what we did was data collections, because we didn't had any data about a fish or anything. So we went to Hebad in Bangalore, where there is a pisciculture farm. Huge farms are there. We used our mobile as well as a nano, like a small drone, to capture the data. Once it is being done, manually we did the annotation of the fishes. Like manually, students drew using a tool called Label Me to tell, okay, these are the fishes. So then whatever is being drawn will is saved as a CSV file or a JSON file. Then the next step is, after we prepare the data, is the training phase. Training phase means we train the model to generate optimal weights for instant segmentation and detection, where we do the segmentation and the detection of the fish. Then in the testing phase, what we did was we took the image of the test set, then did the detection of mask RCNN and output the video, like the mask of the fish. Then from the previous and the current frame, detection detected the output and tracked the fish, and this fish tracking is being shown. So how we did? Yeah, it was we did the first step is data acquisition. This was a small drone that we built, or you can use your mobile, or we use mobile also, so that we to have a variation. So we took the fish data in a three different. One is the fishes in the with clear water with a distinct background, and this is in the decayed water environment, and fishes in the glass enclosure with organic materials. So we took all these different types of data. Then we used an algorithm called instant segmentation. So this instant segmentation, what it does is it identifies a boundary of an object and detailed in the pixel level. So you can see it has identified this balloon. Also, it has detected the boundary of it. So this one of the method is called as instant segmentation. Then this instant segmentation deep learning architecture uses a method called region proposal network. I don't want to go in depth, where it identifies where the fishes are based on our ground truth. So it has identified the fish regions. Then for the testing, we what was happening is the image data is 1920 into 1080. That is what we have captured is in a HD. If you give an HD format to deep learning architecture, the detection rate was very bad because the image was getting compressed to a smaller resolution, and the fishes are so small, it the features were very like infinity for it, and we were not able to do it. So what was done is we divided this image into 9 different regions. Parallelly, using parallel programming, we ran this mask CNN parallel in all the 9 different regions. Then the detection of the fish was done in the 9 different regions. And once the detection is being done, then we started to track the fish. So this is how we did in the real world. So our output, what happened is, if you use this with like without giving a full image and with the tracking, so our detection was I'll show you. So this was our detection. So many fishes are there, we are not able to detect any fish because the network failed to identify it. So the tracking, it was happening in real time with 10 frames per second or 12 frames per second, but the algorithm failed. So to overcome this, so like if you can see, if you give a full image, this time was like it was in a very good like it was 20 frames per second, we were able to process the data, but accuracy was very very bad, like it was just 0.25. Then if you I be divided into multiple regions without tracking, it detected almost all fishes, but it took more amount of time. So frame rate was just 1 or 2 frames per second, but our accuracy was very bad. We needed to have real time processing, also need to have good accuracy. What we did was we did multi-region image with tracking. So this was our output. So for this, I am making one more batch to develop a submarine so that we can send the data, send the sub inside this huge pond to collect the data, and submarine is almost ready. So any questions? Hello?
No, sir.
No question, sir.
So ultimately, what I am want to state is, if you can consider any deep learning project, these are the pipeline that you need to follow. So don't be in the perception, oh, if I use any network, you will get the output. No. So you might we need to think out of box, and it is very hard work. It really uh, ripped us actually to get this output. So we were able to publish this in 10Con, that is an IEEE conference, which is a Class C, which is a very good conference, renowned conference. It got accepted, and when we went and presented, everyone appreciated our work. So if you can see here, this is how good is an algorithm. This is you can see here, this is a shadow, this is a fish. It has detected the fish, not the shadow. So that is the accuracy of the detection. So this is a shadow and this is a fish. So you can have false detection. The algorithm might consider, but this is not the fish, but this is a fish, because it had the texture. Shadow didn't have had the texture. So algorithm didn't detect it. That is a speciality of how good we have tuned the algorithm to work for this data. So coming to another work that was done, the near range obstacle sensing under unstructured traffic environment. So what is this unstructured traffic environment? Like how I and you are traveling in Bangalore, you where people come from all directions, and we don't know what what will happen if we are not alert or anything, we might we will hit someone or someone might hit us. So I want to work further on this for motorbikes or scooters, where it will alert a scooter or a motorbike driver for the navigation. This is being done for the car. Can it be implemented for the motorbikes is what I want to do it. So this, yeah, this one is being, we were able to present it last year in SSCI conference, which is a very nice one, which was in, which held in China. So again, the pipeline remains the same, where we went to the Bangalore roads by putting a mobile and capturing the data of Bangalore roads of like this was my car, where we put a camera and a laptop and we drew around different places of Bangalore, collecting the data about different time frame. Once we collected the data, we divided the data into static obstacle, dynamic obstacle, and random moving obstacle. Like static obstacle means traffic cones. You can see BBMP would have dug something and they would have put one. They should keep a cone, but they would have put one stick, wooden, like what is it, branch of a tree or something, telling there is an obstacle. So next is dynamic moving obstacles like car, motorbike, auto rickshaw, truck, and bus was taken. And random moving obstacle are the pedestrians. You can also consider dogs and all. These were the data we considered to train YOLO one algorithm. Then considering the whole image was a very big problem. So we needed to consider what is in front of us. When we are driving in India, we only concentrate what is in front of me with less than 10 to 15 meters. So using an vanishing point algorithm, we divided the data into sky, non-drive and drive region. So this is what will is the processed area, where we will tell if any object or anything obstacle that enters into this region, an alert will be given to the driver. We trained the model. Then one more novelty, what was achieved is from the molecular camera, we were able to estimate how far is the object distance based on the geometric model. Then we wrote a small algorithm based on the output we got to first detect the object and also track the object, such that we don't miss any object. So these are the, if any pedestrian come when we are driving, when it comes here, it will alert the driver. So this is in Kengeri Road. I'll show you the video. Then we also validated this with the open source data set. Then, like if you consider whole image, if you run the whole image, the YOLO or anything, the far objects are also getting detected. Like if you can see, it is detecting person as well as motorbike. And here the persons are standing, they are not an obstacle. Then also it is telling the people are there. And another thing is our car bonnet is also considered as a car as an obstacle, and the people who are standing on the pavement is also being considered. So these are the false positives that created by, if you by the normal deep learning algorithm. Then we even tested for the night scenario, and yeah, it was able to work. Then our algorithm started to refine. We started to refine the algorithm. Like without the distance calculation, you can see the far objects are getting detected as a person with our with the distance and the proposed pipeline, the far objects we are able to remove it, and it is able to tell, okay, the nearest persons or obstacle, it is getting detected. Here also, the very far car is being detected, but only the first car is what is important to us, that is on the road, not on the side. And here there are no obstacles in front of us, but very far there are trucks and all, but they are also getting detected with the normal algorithm. We were able to refine the false positives. In the crowded in front of Kenkeri railway station, this was taken, where you can see there were parked vehicles and only the moving objects were there. Only we are interested in this moving objects on the road. And even in the night, without tracking, there was a two-wheeler who was crisscrossing in front of the car. With the tracker, we were able to detect the person, and our algorithm was able to do it. So I want to show you how good is like. So this was in Mysore Road when we were driving. Like it is not a recorded output. This is while driving. We were running the algorithm. You can see the two wheeler is crossing. An alert is being given. The two wheeler is there. Then it he goes away, and we are able. It is able to run. Then alert is not being given, and bus is in the front. Okay, it is telling the bus is there in the front. And we again drive here, and you can see only that there is a passage is empty, so there is no alert. You can drive in a clean manner. And we are entering into construction area where it is becoming darker, but then also the algorithm is able to pick the object that is in front. So this is in the real time we were able to process or run the algorithm in when we were driving on Bangalore Road. So like this, I want you people to think in developing a project or a solution. So this is what I wanted to talk actually. So the next thing is, if anyone are interested in reinforcement learning, you can think about deep reinforcement learning, where you do based on the based on like action, based on reward and action, the algorithm starts to learn. And we train, example, you train on traffic scenario of US or UK, or any structured traffic scenario. You train the algorithm and test it in the Bangalore roads, where you entirely different environment. So once you do this, 1 minute, sorry. uh, I have a video in a YouTube link. You can see this. So where it is this is the simulated vehicle, simulated the deep reinforcement learning that we have done. Once the simulation it is working fine, it is being put to a real hardware. So a real hardware is being model is being built. This is a toy car that is being built, and where it starts automatically, and sense the it is an ultrasonic based thing, where it sense the obstacle, and it turns, and again it sends, and it comes to an halt. So these, like this, you can build the toy toy obstacle and everything. And this is one of the work done by me and your professor Revanna Sitappa. So for real time weed detection in pulse crop field with IoT. So we use this nano drone to capture the weeds in horse gram farm in field, that is Parthenium weed, while flying this drone. Then we used semantic segmentation algorithms, and we did the comparison study. Because this is a research work, a comparison study was done. We captured the data from outskirts of Mysore, and we did the annotation of the data where the weed is. So these are the weed, Parthenium weeds, and drone communication was done between the drone to the hardware, and we used two algorithms called UNet and LinkNet 34, and you can see UNet had false positives, whereas LinkNet 34 had good detection of the weed. Then, yeah, if anyone are interested in drone building, I can help you out. Where we built a drone to identify the infected leaves in the greenhouse and do an automatic spray, and also tell the temperature and the humidity of the greenhouse. So we used the Raspberry Pi, then motors, propellers, GPU, GPS, then frames, batteries, pumps, everything, and the RC controller. This was a circuitry that was built to do the connections of the drone. We built the drone ourselves, and this was the drone we built. So for the first time when we flight it, then we tried the same drone in Bangalore University farm, like nursery, about identifying the infected leaves and do automatic spraying, and also create a infected map where how much is the infected region, and also automatic sensing of the greenhouse was done, where we did the temperature and the humidity of different areas of the greenhouse and was uploaded to the cloud. And this is a YouTube link where how so this was the first flight we did, where we identified flowers, and from the camera it identified the flowers and started to spray the pest, like the pesticide. We kept as water as a pesticide, so automatically it took off and started to spray. And then finally we refined this to take it to the greenhouse, and automatic spraying was done based on the infected leaves. So these were this is few of the things I have talked with you people. There are so many things. So ultimately, I want to tell you, this was not told by me, it was told by Charles Darwin. It is not the strong species that survives, not the most intelligent that survives. It is the one who can adapt, and adapt to the changes will survive. So don't think I am I am an average student. I'm not good in programming. I am not. I don't know anything. I The main thing is you need to know how to adapt, how to learn, how to do things. Then only you can achieve things. So tips for the day I can tell you is, don't wait for someday. Okay, then don't doubt yourself. don't postpone actions, then con- constantly, then don't compare yourself with others, don't neglect your mental health and physical health. So these are the things I want to talk for you about for today. Any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
I hope
No,
it
sir.
was I hope it was not boring for you.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Now now with I hope people might have got some idea. So there are in the Google form, you people, they, you have written any project idea you have. No, I want you people who have written no to think what you want to do. Always put your brain to use or think what you want to do for yourself. So let it be any idea. Please write it down. It is not it can be achieved or not is the next thing. I want you people to think. Okay? Like example, like Nityashri has written data analytics and has told no. So you can think about like data analytics, you can do like present COVID. You can get the data of Bangalore, how many, and also do which ward having more cases, and where people are having infection. You can create what is it, data like a statistical thing to tell. I can also tell, okay, this ward is having more infections. This is like how in Arogya Setu app they are telling, okay, these are the infections happening. You can also create your own thing. And there is another person with robotics. Mm, Sumant has told no. I want Sumant to think. Okay, in robotics, what he wants to build: an agricultural robot, aerial robot, autonomous robot, or any robot can assist elderly people. Can any device can assist. The robot means a not human, big human, a small toy or anything that can help students or anyone, like, think. And I want you people to write it. And I really liked one project written about Carnatic raga recognition by Kirtana. So instead of doing with the natural language processing, if we can do it with audio processing, it would be a great work. Really, you can make a team for this. So you can have like-minded people collect the different samples of different ragas of male and female singers from different age groups is also okay. Train the model of two or three ragas. Then you can, if anyone sings, it should tell which raga it is. Really, this is, if you can do, it can be published. And you can also in future make it into a raga corrections app or anything where it will teach, it will help in improving the singing. So another another data, another project like sign language to human voice conversion. I didn't understand. Okay, uh, by Spandana. uh, oh, so another thing, I didn't understand this. Okay, then prediction of human behavior through handwriting by Shweta. So yeah, behavior, yeah, it is always told. identifying the behavior is very tough, but you can tell what mindset the person is with the handwriting what he writes. So if he writes legitimately, his mind, you can tell his mind is calm. If he scribbles, you can tell he might be in he might be in anxiety or anything. So all this, these things you can do. And fake news, yeah, it is very very tough, because so many people are working on this, but you can try Ganapati. So then I want you people to think, whoever has not written uh, about the projects. So next week, what do you want me to do?
Excuse me, sir. I had one doubt.
Yes.
Sir, you told for image classification we use convolution neural networks, but for textual data you just told, but I forgot. Could you repeat it?
For text data, right? We need to convert the text to a number. So that is called as uh, vectorization, or it is called as uh, text to vec. So then what we do is we use dense as a network. Like there is a, for any numerical data, if it is not a two-dimensional data, we use dense. Like that is a function that is being used rather than convol to, we use dense actually.
Okay, okay, sir. So for automatic text summarization and all, the frequencies of words are calculated, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you.
So yeah, for that there is a open source dictionary. I have forgotten the name, but there is a huge corpus actually. So we need to use that corpus, and then it will identify the number of words and all that is being used.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, you need to use LSTM or by GRUB. There is GRU, it is called, means bidirectional, means in what will happen is when we are identifying the text, if you are reading from starting of the line, we might think in a different fashion when it is, and we need to read it from two directions such that we understand it better. So those are the algorithms. Then automatic attendance marking, yeah, that is also a good problem. But I want one more thing. Like example, for today, hardly 19 people, I think 31 people are there out of 81. We take attendance. If they are not attended the meeting, an instant mail, WhatsApp message to be sent to them, or any, like, or if it is a recorded meeting, the recorded meeting link should be automatically sent, so that it should be okay. It should be like a shame that they didn't attend. Also, they might have missed it because of genuine reason, so that they will not miss the content of the meeting. So if you can incorporate this, right, really it is good. So think about it, how to do it. So this is Rahul. So you can make a group, think about it. So travel guide using image recognition. Yeah, it is a huge thing, but we need to brainstorm it how to do about it. Then working on image recognition in Raspberry Pi. Yeah, you can take a simple problem do it in Raspberry Pi. Why I insist you people learn to program in hardware is that will give an edge to you that you know how to do in low memory devices and edge devices. So rather than image recognition, you can work on air quality. Then you can also work on traffic, based on based on the image you identify the air quality and all. You can work using Raspberry Pi and put the Raspberry Pi in different parts of your college or anywhere, collect the data and do the analysis. So yeah, so many things are there. I will go through it. So one more is design in AI, which can diagnose a type of disease. The person might have a small device can dear. Oh no, this is we can't do it because human body we can't tell with a very small device because each functions in a different manner. So I can give you one super idea, especially who are doing post graduation. If they are there, they can work. Yoga tutor, correcting yoga poses. Using pose estimation, you identify which pose of yoga it is. Then you do a correction if a person is doing it correctly or not. If they even post and like be students, if you are interested in yoga or any you know what is yoga, you can think about this project actually, because nowadays online gym, online yoga is going on, and people there is a tute like I am teaching for you, but I don't know whether are you listening. You might be sleeping in the bed, putting a headphone and listening. You might be parallelly seeing Facebook. You might be parallelly doing whatever you want, but is there any mechanism to correct whatever you do? So these are the new things that you can think about it for your project to do actually, because this is what is needed for the need of the hour. People can't go gym. I because I teach often like online yoga. Like after this call, after by 6 p.m. I start this online yoga, but I don't know what people are doing parallelly. So can we develop a system where it identifies the pose and corrects the pose and about it? Yeah, we can discuss about it. So you let me know what to be done next week, because I want you to drive, not me driving you. You tell me what do you expect from me for next week. I want you people to talk. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please tell me what do you expect me to do next week.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, you need to tell what should I do, because I want you people to drive the things. Tell me.
Sir,
Yes.
hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, I think everyone will have like a Google Collab, no, sir, now.
Okay.
Sir, can you send us like some Google data sets where we'll do something very easy, like everyone can do as you're teaching them how to do, like hands-on data set.
Okay. Okay. So I will I
Something simple, sir, because like first year, second year
okay.
students also are there. Some of them who don't know Python also. So
Okay. So next week, I will do hands-on. So I will take two two or three problem statement. One is on data analytics. One is on image classification. And let me see when 1.5 hour how much we can cover. So parallelly, I will program and explain you step by step. Is it okay?
yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So, is there anything you want? I want you people to be free because I am one of the student. So, I am not a lecturer. So, you can be free with me. It is the collaboration that I win, you win, everyone wins. Then it is for the knowledge gain because because why I am asking you people think about problem statements is you might be having tremendous capacity of solving new things where I don't know. Get the problem statement, we will try to solve it. So that see the fishery problem statement I didn't get, only student got. The drone spraying students only got. I didn't get. I was just the driving force for them to complete their project and make them do the project in a systematic manner. So I want you people to think what you want to do. And I want by next week identify few projects, make a group among yourself. Let it be mixture of people, like a group will contain final year, third year, second year, first year. Let it be mixture. So I want you people to collaborate among yourself. So whatever you are learn, it should be learning with fun. Okay. Is there anything? Hello.
Sir, talk about YOLO. What makes it good than other similar like tools and next week?
Yeah, I don't want to talk as of now. Let us go because YOLO is one of the topmost algorithm. People might not be knowing even the basics. Let us go from basics, then we can go to the top ones. Okay. So whatever your concern is there, or like if yeah you want to know about YOLO, I will teach you. I will talk about YOLO, not an issue. Different deep learning algorithms I will talk, not an issue. I will explain each and every algorithm, each and every method. Like let us start with basics. So let us start with linear regressions, logistic regressions, neural net, support vector machines. So I will I'll be parallelly talking with you about all these algorithms before coming to deep learning. Okay, is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay then. So let us. So you want me to have a weekly or bi-weekly? So most of you people have told we want weekly. So when if I will try to make try to have a weekly thing, but if I'm got stuck somewhere with my work, I will postpone it. So I'm creating my website where you will get lot of information about the work that is being done. You can go through it. I'm building it. Once it is done, it will be complete. So I will put it in the chat link about the website. You can go through it when you are free. So have a nice day. So see you. So it is almost 6 p.m. for me, and it is 3:30 for you. So let us meet next week. So if possible, we can start early, like 1:30ish or 1:15ish or something, based on your availability. You let me know.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I hope I am not boring you.
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
No, sir.
No,
And
sir.
please inform if people are missing, they are losing it. The same thing, if you want to learn, you need to pay in thousands, and no one will teach with heart. They will teach for money, and let them attend the talk if they are free. So I want everyone to attend the talk. Please inform this. Hello.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
So if it contain, like, see, I know, like in 80 people, hardly I might get 12 people to work. It is sufficient. 12 people will excel in their life. But let us see how many people can make it. So I want, like, well, next week, let us have more people. So please inform this. So I let us have because I know people are charging so much to people make you do the projects or anything. Don't go to any institute for the project, especially the final year people. Let us work together. It is, if you learn now, it is good when you go to an industry and you will have confidence that you have done something. Don't go and take projects from institutes. Okay. Okay then. So have a nice day. Have a nice Navaratri. So Vijay Dashmi. Let us meet next week. Okay.
Sure,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Please inform others that they need to attend from next week.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Okay. Thank you.